Ever lived somewhere so quiet you could hear your own thoughts? I thought I wanted that until I heard something else listening back. When I turned 21, I moved into a tiny house I found online. It was dirt cheap, tucked away on a narrow stretch of land a few miles outside a forgotten town. It felt like freedom, but I think I bought someone else's secret. It was small, but cozy. 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom, and a narrow loft above the kitchen that I used for storage. The land around it was completely overgrown, with brittle grass that crunched even under your breath and trees that leaned a little too close. The real estate agent didn't say much, just handed me the keys and said, "It's been empty a while." No smile, no small talk. I should have paid more attention to that. The first week was peaceful. I stocked the kitchen, fixed the squeaky cabinet doors, even bought a lawn chair so I could sit out back and read. It felt quiet. Too quiet. No birds, no bugs, just wind. By the 5th night, I started hearing things. The first sound was faint. A scraping noise like wood against wood, somewhere behind the bedroom wall. I thought maybe it was just the old pipes or maybe a squirrel in the crawl space. But the next night, it came again. Same sound, same time. Just past 2:30 a.m. Then it changed. Now it wasn't just scraping, it was tapping. Slow, deliberate, almost polite. Like someone was trying to ask to come in. Why would anyone knock inside the wall? I sat up in bed, frozen. I wanted to believe it was a weird dream, but the tapping stopped as soon as I turned my head. Dead silence, like it knew I heard it. The next morning, I checked behind the wall. Nothing but drywall, no hidden doors, no signs of pests. I told myself I was just anxious from the move, that I needed sleep. But part of me was already scared. Then last night, something changed again. The tapping moved to the loft above the kitchen, and that part of the house has no windows, no doors, no way in, except from the inside. I didn't sleep, I just stared up at the ceiling, waiting. Around 2:30 again, right on time, the tapping started above me in the loft. But this time it was faster, sharper. It wasn't wood anymore. It sounded like fingernails. I crept out of bed, every board beneath me groaning like it was warning me not to move. I grabbed the flashlight from the kitchen drawer and pointed it up toward the loft ladder. That's when I saw it. Not a shadow, not a shape. Just something, a hand, thin, filthy, curling slowly around the edge of the loft floor like it was testing how far it could go before I'd notice. I dropped the flashlight. The crash echoed through the house like a scream. I didn't wait to see what followed. I ran. Outside, barefoot. The grass tore at my feet and the air was ice, but I didn't care. I didn't stop running until I hit the edge of the gravel drive where my car was parked. The door was locked. My keys were inside. I turned back toward the house, breathing heavy, heart pounding. The porch light flickered once, then came on. I never left that light on. Was it watching me? Was it inviting me back in? I waited until dawn before going back. I didn't want to, but my phone was inside. So were my keys, my wallet, everything. I crept back through the door like I was stepping into a trap. Everything looked normal. No sign of anything on the loft, no hand, no prints, no sound. Just that same thick silence, like the house was holding its breath. I almost convinced myself I imagined it, until I checked the loft one last time. There were footprints, not mine. Small, bare, smeared in what looked like mud, or something darker. And scratched into the wall with what looked like a nail or maybe a claw were 4 words. "You shouldn't be here." I moved out that same day, never went back, never sold the place. It's still sitting there, empty, waiting. And some nights I still wake up at 2:30 on the dot, heart racing, because even hundreds of miles away, I swear I hear tapping. I bought this place to be alone. Turns out I never was. I'm 28, just got divorced. I needed out of the city, out of everything. I found this quiet little fixer-upper an hour outside town. The best part? It came with a decent plot of land and an old shed out back. I didn't even look inside. I figured I'd get to it eventually. The house was small, but fine for just me. 1 bedroom, a creaky front porch, and tall grass that scraped the sides of my boots. I was finally alone. I'd come out here to heal, not to be bothered. That first week, I kept busy with cleaning, fixing pipes, and trying to get the ancient stove working. The shed caught my attention by the 3rd night. Around midnight, I heard something metal slam shut behind the house. I thought maybe the wind had kicked the old shed door open. But when I went outside with a flashlight, the lock was still on. A few days later, I started noticing strange little things. My trash bags would be torn open in the morning, but it wasn't raccoons. They weren't shredded, just picked through. Carefully, like someone was looking for something. Then there were the cigarette butts, fresh ones, in the tall grass near the shed. I don't smoke, and I haven't had visitors. One night, I stayed up late watching a movie with the window cracked open. Around 2 a.m., I heard footsteps. Slow, steady, moving across the gravel behind the house. I killed the lights, listened. It was quiet for maybe a minute. Then I heard the shed creak open. Except I never unlocked it. I sat there on the couch, staring at the back door, barely breathing. Part of me wanted to look out the window. The other part begged me to wait for the sun. I waited. And just as I was about to doze off, I heard 3 knocks. Not on the door, on the inside of the wall behind me. The knock behind the wall didn't come again. I stayed on the couch until the sun came up, heart racing the whole time. As soon as the light hit the windows, I grabbed the crowbar from the garage and walked straight out to the shed. The lock was still on. But when I slid it off and pulled the door open, something hit me. The air, warm, damp, like breath. Inside, it was almost empty, except for a thin sleeping bag tucked behind a stack of broken wood and a pile of wrappers, cans, and my trash. The same garbage I'd thrown away earlier that week. There was also a spoon, bent, and a cracked cell phone with no battery. Someone had been sleeping here. Someone had been inside my shed. I backed out slowly, trying to keep it together, and called the sheriff from the front yard. They sent a deputy out within the hour. He searched the shed, then the property, then asked if I had a back trail or woods. I didn't. Just open grassland, a bit of tree line, and one fence that was falling apart. He told me to stay alert and gave me his card. Happens more than you'd think, he said. Some people drift through and squat. Usually harmless. Harmless. That night, I locked everything. Doors, windows, even moved a chair in front of the bedroom door. I tried to sleep, and that's when I saw the note. It had been slipped under the door while I was brushing my teeth. Just a torn corner of a magazine page. Written in messy black marker. You weren't supposed to find it. I lost it. Called the sheriff again. This time, they searched the whole place, top to bottom. Nothing. The next night, the note was gone. I don't live there anymore. I left everything. Even my truck. I hitched a ride back to town and never went back. Sometimes I wonder how long they lived there. If they watched me through the window, if they ever came inside while I slept. And when I dream of that place, I always hear the knock from inside the wall. I was 19 when I got my first place. It was a small old house near the edge of town. Just 2 bedrooms, a tiny kitchen, and a bathroom that always smelled a little weird. But I didn't care. I was proud to finally live on my own. The house had low ceilings and floors that creaked no matter how soft I walked. One thing really stood out though, a little square door in the hallway floor. I asked the landlord what it was and he said, "Just a crawl space, pipes and dust. Nothing you need to mess with." I nodded, but something about that door gave me the creeps. The first few nights were fine. I stayed up late watching shows, eating microwave dinners, and texting friends. It was quiet out there, really quiet. No neighbors close by, no cars driving past, just wind, trees, and the occasional weird groan from the pipes. Then one night, things changed. I was brushing my teeth around midnight when I heard a strange sound. It was soft, like a whisper. I paused and turned off the water. The noise was coming from below me. At first, I figured it was the pipes, but it kept going, like someone was breathing under the floor. Then came a few words, muffled. I couldn't make them out, but it wasn't the pipes, it was a voice. I stepped into the hallway and stared at the little crawlspace door. My chest felt tight. I tried to laugh it off, but the second I looked down, I heard it again, clear this time. It whispered my full name. I didn't imagine it. I swear I didn't. I froze. I didn't want to move or even breathe. I just stared at the door like something might crawl out of it. After a few minutes, the whispering stopped. I didn't sleep much that night. I left all the lights on and locked my bedroom door, even though I was the only one there. At least, I thought I was. The next day, I tried to forget about it. I told myself it was just my imagination. Maybe I was tired, maybe the pipes were making weird sounds after all, but even when I said that, I didn't believe it. I avoided the crawlspace door all day. I walked around it like it might open on its own. That night, I kept the TV on in my room, hoping some background noise would help me relax. It worked for a while, but just after 2 a.m., I woke up. There was no sound. The house was too quiet. Then I heard it again, whispering, from under the floor. This time it was clearer. It said my name again, but it didn't stop there. It said, "Why did you come here?" and then, "Let me out." I sat up in bed, heart pounding. I didn't want to get up. I didn't want to check, but I had to. I grabbed my flashlight and walked slowly into the hallway. The crawlspace door was open, not wide open, just a little, but enough to see that something had moved it. I got down on my knees and aimed the flashlight inside. There was something staring back at me, 2 eyes, way too far back in the darkness to be a reflection. They blinked. I screamed and slammed the door shut. I didn't care what it was. I shoved a heavy chair on top of it and ran back to my room, locking the door behind me. I didn't sleep. I kept checking the hallway. Nothing moved, but I still heard it.
"Let me out. Let me out. Let me out."
Over and over until the sun came up. I packed a bag and left that morning. I called the landlord and told him I was done. I didn't explain why. I didn't want to sound crazy. Before I hung up, I asked one thing. "Has anyone ever lived under the house?" He paused. Then he said, "You opened the door, didn't you?" I didn't answer. I just hung up. I'm in a new place now, far from that house. But some nights, when the room is quiet, I swear I still hear it, whispering my name from under the floor.